Welcome back to the program. Tajudeen Ibrahim, the Senior Vice President and Head of Research at Chapel Hill Denham, is joining me from Lagos. Mr. Ibrahim, good to see you. Welcome to the program. A Happy New Year. Can you hear me? Mr. Ibrahim, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, please, can you unmute your audio so that I can hear you?
Okay. Good morning, Nancy. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Crystal clear. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you.
Now, 2020, of course, I don't think we need to rehash all the things we said in 2020. A precarious year, a tough year, a challenging year, a year which no one thought the whole world would ever be on a lockdown at the same time. First time in modern history. Do you think that the happenings of 2020 gradually filtered into 2021?
Yes, I think those events that we had in 2020 are gradually beginning to find their ways into 2021. And I think some people have called 2021 a particular name. They target 2020 season 2. So which means that we still have some elements of the the delicate or sort of negative development in 2020 still reflecting in 2021. And that is largely because, some Nigerians are not careful. They are not obeying, the rules and regulations around COVID-19. Many people are not following the guidelines laid down by WHO and also by the NCDC. So in the early part of this year, I would say we are still seeing some of the negative developments that we experienced in 2020, particularly speaking about COVID-19.
It seems that COVID-19 definitely was a game changer in 2020. And do you think it will continue to be a game changer in the negative in 2021, especially economically? Like I said earlier, the whole world went on a lockdown in 2020. We don't know if the whole world will go on a lockdown again, I doubt, this year at the same time. How much of a game changer will rising COVID-19 infections be for 2021?
Well, I seem to miss, the first part of your question, but I think the latter part that I got is that.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, can you actually?
How much of COVID-19 impact I would like to,
Okay, what I asked.
You want to repeat that question, please?
Okay, what I asked earlier is that how much of a game changer it's rising COVID-19 infections going to be for 2021. I really don't know if the whole world would go into a lockdown at the same time like we saw in 2020. So how much of a game changer will it be this year? Mr. Ibrahim, are you there? Okay, let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, we will continue. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. It's Moneyline with Nancy.
There is no other time than now that has been afforded us to reset the economy of Nigeria again.
It is in difficult time that the nations take decisions to build their country.
Nancy, I think I would be remiss to say that, look, Nigerian economy is vulnerable.
So we have to come up with strategies as governments. How do we deal with this issue of hunger? How do we get food into people's hands?
Who is the subsidy favoring?
There is no subsidy, is zero. It's zero forever, Nancy.
Subsidy has never benefited the ordinary Nigerian. it has continued to benefit only the elite. The aspiration for us is to make Nigeria a net exporter of petroleum products.
You can join us on all our social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Go to YouTube now and subscribe. Moneyline with Nancy TV. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. It's Moneyline with Nancy.
There is no other time than now that has been afforded us to reset the economy of Nigeria again.
It is in difficult time that nations take decisions to build their country.
Nancy, I think I would be remiss to say that, look, Nigerian economy is vulnerable.
So we have to come up with strategies as governments. How do we deal with this issue of hunger? How do we get food into people's hands?
Who is the subsidy favoring?
There is no subsidy, is zero. It's zero forever, Nancy.
Subsidy has never benefited the ordinary Nigerian. It has continued to benefit only the elite. The aspiration for us is to make Nigeria a net exporter of petroleum products.
You can join us on all our social media platforms. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Go to YouTube now and subscribe. Moneyline with Nancy TV.
FX markets, that's number one. Number two, we also expect, the crude oil prices that I talked about earlier to have played a positive role, in the first 6 months of the year to support a positive economic growth. Number three, we expect the CBN to then, focus more on tackling inflation as well as, fixing the FX rate irregularities, that we are currently seeing in the market, and that to some extent should support the flows of, foreign currency into the economy in terms of, both FPI and also most importantly or more importantly, foreign direct investments, because as we speak, my view is the foreign investors, have little or no confidence in our FX markets because of the recent developments that we saw in 2020. So we need to correct all those, and it could take us as much as like 6 months, for those to be corrected, and by then we could be talking about positive economic growth, in my view.
Okay, let's take on some of the points which you've raised. The point on inflation, the point on the FX, that's the exchange rate. What do you think would be the trajectory of the Naira this year. The Naira was badly battered in 2020. I think at the last MPC meeting, the central bank governor did say that the Naira has depreciated as at that time 28%. Where do you see the Naira going, especially with the recent policies of opening up that people can actually get their remittances over the counter through the banks, and some other policies? Of course, now we're seeing that oil price is at around $56 US. So we expect that it will bring in more inflows for the government that will be deposited at the central bank. So with all this, what do you think will be the trajectory for the Naira moving forward?
So for the Naira in 2021, I think the outlook is, positive. Somewhat positive, largely because of the factors that, even you have mentioned. Number one of them is, the positive trends that we are seeing, on the I&E window. Number two is, not at the I&E window, the positive trend that we are seeing in terms of, crude oil prices. Number two is, what we are seeing in terms of, the central bank's policy, with the CBN, allowing, people to get dollars when, they get remittances from abroad. So that is also, somewhat positive. And I think the only concern is around, the fact that we have, various exchange rates. We don't have a convergence yet as we speak. We still have the CBN rates being different from the parallel market rate, being different from the SMIS rate, and also being different from the I&E window rate. We don't have a convergence yet. That is a downside risk in terms of expectations.
Mr. Ibrahim, the central bank may want to disagree with you on this point which you've raised, to say the only official rate of the Naira to other exchange rates is the official rate of 379. But I have heard a lot of you analysts say, come on, guys, unify the FX rate. How come we'll have many rates? What's your response to that?
So I think I would even ask a question. Is there anybody that can obtain FX, that can access FX at 379 in the market? The answer is no. So that 379 is just sort of reserved for the CBN, and then if the public cannot get FX at 379, then you begin to question the usefulness of that kind of a rate. So if I want to buy the US dollar as we speak, and I go to the parallel market, I'll be paying around 468, 470. And if I want to go to the I&E window, I will be looking at around 395 or thereabout 396. So I cannot get to buy my dollars at the rate of 379 being quoted as official rates by the CBN. This is where, some of us question why we have divergent exchange rates, because there are some that you cannot, obtain at that particular price. And there's another key factor for consideration. Divergent rates leaves room for arbitrage opportunity. So people can get to buy dollars at the BDC rate, and then they get to sell it at the parallel market, booking some arbitrage gain on the back of that. So this is why we need, or partly why we need, the exchange rates to be unified, in my view.
Okay, as we end the program, just a few more minutes. What's your expectation for fiscal policy? Of course, fiscal policy this year, as released by the government, is the budget. One can say it. But if you take a look at the expectation for fiscal policy and monetary policy this year, do you think that there is still room, or there are rooms enough for fiscal policy and monetary policy to maneuver? Bearing in mind for the monetary policy, I want you to speak also to that. The January 2021 MPC meeting comes up in a few days, about perhaps close to 2 weeks from now. What do you expect? Interest rates at 11.5%. What do you see the MPC doing this year? And if there is room for the monetary policy at all to maneuver, since we have a lot of budget deficit, we're going into a lot of borrowings?
Yes, I will start from the borrowing. We are going into a lot of borrowings, and the government has indicated 2.1 trillion in terms of domestic borrowing, and so that is a bit lower, in terms of borrowing compared to 2.2 trillion that was in the budget for 2020. So we would have to borrow, but I think what the government may have to do is to look inward, particularly considering the fact that the Monetary Policy Authority has been, broadly speaking, favorable to economic growth, and what they have done, as we all know, is to cut interest rates last year by 200 basis points. So that has really supported the ability of the government to borrow at low interest rates. That's one. So on the fiscal front, one would expect the government to accelerate their borrowings in the first quarter of 2021. So just so that they benefit from the low interest rate environment as much as they would like to. The second is that we expect the monetary policy committee meeting happening in the next few days to be pro-growth. Just like they were in 2020, they would continue most likely to support economic growth by leaving all the indicators unchanged, leaving interest rates unchanged, just to see how much traction that we can gain on the recent decisions that they made. So we expect them to leave things unchanged and favor economic growth.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, just in 5 seconds, how will Nigerians fare by the end of 2021, December 2021? Where will I be economically? 5 seconds.
Well, I think we should be at economic growth of about 2%, but we expect inflation to be higher in the first half of this year, and in the second half, it should be lower because of high base effect. That's what we see.
Okay, thank you very much, Tajudeen Ibrahim, for joining us today. Thank you very much for your insights.
It's my pleasure.
All right, I've been speaking with Tajudeen Ibrahim, who is the Senior Vice President and Head of Research Chapel Hill Denham. We've been looking at Nigeria's Economic Outlook 2021. It's a vast topic, but we'll continue to give you some slices and pieces of it on the show. I am Nancy Naji. Be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize your hands. Also, be the best you can be. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now.